This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardines, to use this as an educational material.
What is globalization? Globalization is the word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world economies, culture, and population brought about by cross-border trade in goods and services, technology and flows of investment, people and information. Countries have built economic partnership to facilitate these movements over many centuries, but the term gained popularity after the Cold War in the early 1990s as these cooperative arrangements sharpen modern everyday life. This guide uses the term more narrowly to refer to international trade and some of the investment flows among advanced economies. Globalization means to speed up of movements and exchange of human beings, goods and services, capitals, technology or cultural practice all over the world. One of the effects of the globalization is that it promotes and increases interactions between different regions and populations around the world. Globalization affects us every day, whether we realize it or not. People, ideas, money, products, weapons, computer, biological viruses, greenhouse gases, and other items migrate worldwide. This isn't new. People and things have long traveled the globe because of the interconnected natural of the modern world. Our ideas, habit, trends, product, and news may spread quicker and further than at any one point in history.
Let's discuss Claim 1, which is globalization is about the liberalization and global integration of markets. This claim talks about how globalization and market go together and play a critical role in two established ideologies, which is the neoliberalism and neoconservatism. These two ideologies, although different, have some parts of agreement, like the importance of free market and free trade. Moreover, these two ideology leans towards the independence of the market, meaning that the government should have a hands-off attitude towards business. In today's time, market is the driving force of globalization, and its idea of a free market capitalism, which means the more you let the market do its thing, the more competition and free trade that leads to an efficient economy as more market or entrepreneurs comes in. An example would be how milk tea has gathered attention in the public from the recent years. Globalization brought a Korean brand of drink to the Philippine market, capturing the taste of the people and thus giving people an idea on what businesses to start. As said earlier, free market opens up competition and in which because of milk tea, new products are being brought in just like an iced coffee. One popular brand is Don Macchiatos or the Korean themed restaurant which is the Samgyeopsal that helps our economy. Pros and cons of Claim 1 is it's really good to have a free market and free trade in order for the competition among the businesses to grow, as well as bringing new products for the consumers to enjoy, and all of this helps the economy of the country to improve. However, as stated in the Claim 1, a hands-off type of approach towards a business is complicated. There are people who would take advantage of the freedom and would be abusing it or not having the right qualities as they endorsed. A very free market is also an opportunity to scammers and other people seeking to do illegal things.
Claim 2. Globalization is inevitable and irreversible. Globalization is an irreversible process due to rising demand in all aspects of globalized markets from both developed and developing countries. In various countries, economic policies have stapled the impetus for their own economies to advance. Debunking the concept of economic globalization as a primary unavoidable phenomenon. attempting to decongest globalization in such deterministic terms appears to be a terrible tactic for a growing thinking system that significantly borrows from neoliberalism and neoconservatism. After all, liberals and conservatives alike chastise Marxist socialism for devaluing human agency and dismissing individuality throughout the 20th century. So how can one explain globalism's acceptance of an ideological, contradictory concept? First, as Michael Freden points out, philosophical contradictions and semantic tensions are inherently logical and cultural restrictions that will inevitably intrude into every political belief system. Second, the conflict between determinism and conservative ideology may be less than the first. After all, conservatism's core assumptions include extra-human, natural origins of social order, and the corresponding concept of organic change that occurs independently of humans. Third, there is a political purpose for globalism's inclusion of a fundamentally liberal ideology among its principles.
So, claim number 3. Nobody is in charge of globalization. No one is specifically responsible for globalization due to the fact that globalization is a complex and diverse phenomena influenced by a number of aspects such as economic, political, cultural, and technical changes. While there is no single person or entity in charge of globalization, it is an outcome of many various factors including governments, businesses, international organizations, and individuals. In addition to the idea that globalization is a dynamic process that is influenced by a range of elements such as technological advancements, trade rules, and political movements. If market forces determine our history's direction, no social class or group can dominate the globalization agenda. And this concept is supported by Steger, who argued that globalization should not include the goal of any single group, which I agree with because one of the key reasons for the beginning of globalization is to help in the development of different nations and populations around the world.
Claim 4. Globalization benefits everyone. Globalization is a multifaceted phenomenon that has transformed the world over the past few decades. It is characterized by the increasing interconnectedness of countries and their economies, driven by advances in technology, communication, and trade. While debates about globalization often focus on its drawbacks, it is essential to recognize that globalization has brought numerous benefits extend to individuals, communities, and nations across the globe. First is economic benefits. Globalization has led to increased economic growth in many countries. It allows nations to tap into a broader consumer base and access new markets, promoting economic expansion and job creation. Higher living standards. As economies grow, the average living standards of people tend to rise. Globalization encourages the flow of goods and services, which can lead to greater affordability and availability of products consumers. Technological advancements. Globalization has facilitated the rapid spread of technology and innovation. It enables countries to access and adapt technology advancements from around the world, fostering progress in various sectors. Investment opportunities. Foreign direct investment (FDI) has become more accessible due to globalization. This influx of capital can stimulate local industries and promote economic diversification. Cultural exchange and diversity. Globalization encourages the exchange of ideas, cultures, and traditions. People can learn about and appreciate different cultures, fostering tolerance and understanding. Access to information. The internet and global media have made information more accessible to people worldwide. This has educational benefits, allowing individuals to access a wealth of knowledge and educational resources. Innovation and creativity. Exposure to diverse cultures and perspectives can spur creativity and innovation. Cross-cultural collaborations often lead to the development of new ideas and solutions. Social benefits. Globalization can alleviate poverty by creating jobs, increasing access to education, and providing opportunities for economic advance in developing countries. Improved healthcare. Advances in healthcare, including the development and distribution of vaccines and medicines, benefit from globalization. It helps combat global health challenges more effectively. Environmental cooperation. Globalization has fostered greater awareness of environmental issues on a global scale. International cooperation is essential to address challenges like climate change and biodiversity loss. Global solutions. Collaboration across borders is necessary to tackle environmental problems. Globalization enables nations to work together to develop and implement solutions that benefit the planet. So, the conclusion of this study is globalization is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that brings numerous benefits in individuals, communities, and nations across the globe. While there are valid concerns about its potential downsides, it is essential to recognize that globalization has the power to spur economic growth, foster cultural exchange, improve living standards, and address global challenges. As our world becomes increasingly interconnected, harnessing the positive aspects of globalization is essential to ensure a brighter and more prosperous future for everyone.
Claim 5. Globalization furthers the spread of democracy of the world. Globalization and democracy are closely related concepts, as they both promote challenge democracy. Globalization increases interconnectedness and access to information, exposing citizens to different political systems and promoting democratic values. The internet and social media platforms facilitate the exchange of ideas and contribute democratization. International organizations like United Nations, World Bank, and International Monetary Fund encourages countries to adopt democratic principles and implement fair governance practices. However, globalization also poses challenge to democracy, such as the concentration of power in multinational corporations, the rise of global inequality, and the erosion of national sovereignty. This tension between global governance and national sovereignty raises questions about the extent to which democracy can thrive under globalization. To further understand the Claim 5, I will give an example. Globalization has significantly influenced governance and democratic practices worldwide. It involves the exchange of goods, services, and ideas and information on a global scale, enhancing democratic governance. The spread of democratic ideals and institutions has become more accessible due to increased interconnectedness through trade, technology, and communication. This has led to Arab Spring revolutions where people mobilized and demanded democratic reforms. Globalization has also facilitated the transfer of knowledge and expertise, enhancing democratic governance across countries. International organizations like United Nations and European Union promote democratic norms and values, offering technical assistance, monitoring elections, and facilitating dialogue. Economic development has also impacted the democracy, providing individuals with resources, education, and opportunities to participate in political processes. Globalization has connected civil society organizations and grassroots movements, enabling them to advocate and democratic values globally. However, globalization also represents challenges and threats to democracy such as the concentration of economic power and wealth in the hands of a few. Pros and cons of Claim 5. One of the advantages of globalization to democracy is the expansion of international cooperation and promotion of democratic values. Globalization facilitated the exchange of ideas, knowledge, and best practices among countries. As a result, democratic institutions and norms have spread across the globe. For instance, many new democracies emerged in the post-Cold War era, largely influenced by the successful democratic transitions in Western countries. Globalization has provided an avenue for these countries to learn from established democracies and adopt democratic principles. However, globalization has also presented challenges and disadvantages to democratic systems. One of the major concerns is the growing influence of global corporations and multinational organizations. As globalization intensifies, the power and wealth of these entities have increased significantly. They often operate outside the reach of democratic institutions and can undermine democratic processes. For example, multinational corporations may exert pressure on governments to relax regulations and labor rights in the favor compromising the welfare of citizens. Additionally, global organizations like the International Monetary Fund or IMF and the World Bank, while aiming to promote economic development, may impose policies that limit countries' sovereignty and democratic decision making.
Claim 6. Globalization acquired a global war on terror. So first of all, what is a global war on terror? Let me explain shortly. Global war on terror is an international American-led military campaign launched to follow September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. President George W. Bush greets the troops and tours military equipment at Fort Hood, Texas, January 3, 2003. This last claim controversy chain similarity to the next verifies globalism's political responsiveness and applied adaptability. It twists the financial globalization with a military and nationalistic belief system interface with the U.S. drug worldwide conflict on period. How will globalization contribute to war? Well, what it said, war depends on religious and economic condition of people. If globalization gives more and more money to the owners and less to the workers, more and more for some nation and less to others, the occasions of conflict growth, social conflicts and political conflicts. Globalization affects terrorism because of terrorism is the use of violence for a cause. This cause may be due to a perceived social and political injustice, or simply beliefs that violence can lead to change. Terrorist acts can cause ripple effects and the economy have negative effects. The most obvious is the direct economic destruction of property and lives. Does globalization help terrorism? Globalization has contributed greatly to the increased threat and terrorism now poses, and part of the negative impact terrorism may have on globalization. And globalization helps that is made possible for terrorism networks to communicate more easily with one another and to recruit a new member, of course. The connection of globalization between countries and individuals goals become in reality. The use of social media networks also in the reason why terrorism has been widespread. Social media integrates and connects people from all over the world. So, terrorism is also a major issue in here and a problem in the Philippines, linked to the Moro conflict and humanist rebellion because it is a center of high-grade mineral. The war on terrorism was a multi-dimensional campaign of almost limitless scope. Its military dimension involved major was an Iraq convert in operational Yemen and elsewhere, large-scale military assistance progress, cooperative regiments, and major increases in military spending.
Good day everyone, this is Cadet Tina Levy in Carglass. Here are the concrete examples for each of the 6 core claims of globalization as identified by Manfred B. Stiger. Claim number 1. Globalization is about the liberation and global integration of markets. Example, the North America Free Trade Agreement or NAFTA and its successors, the United States-Mexico Canada Agreement USMCA, facilitated the free flow of goods, services, and investments between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. These agreements showcase the liberalization of markets and economic integration across borders. Claim number 2. Globalization is inevitable and irreversible. Example, the proliferation of internet and the ease with which people can communicate, share information, and conduct business globally highlights the irreversibility of globalization. Attempts to restrict internet access or international communication have generally faced significant challenges. Claim number 3. Nobody is in charge of globalization. Example, global supply chains involve countless actors from various countries, including manufacturers, suppliers, and distributors. No single entity or organization has complete control over these intricate networks, exemplifying the decentralized nature of globalization. Claim number 4. Globalization benefits everyone. Example, the Green Revolution, which introduced high-yield crop varieties and advanced agricultural practices, increased food production and helped alleviate hunger in many parts of the world. This illustrates how globalization is agriculture can bring benefits by improving food security and reducing poverty. Claim number 5. Globalization furthered the spread of democracy in the world. Example, the spread of democratic values and the influence of democratic countries like the United States have encouraged democratization in various regions. The Arab upspring in several Middle Eastern countries were partly driven by aspiration for greater political freedom, influenced by global democratic norms. Claim number 6. Globalization requires a global war on terror. Example, the international response to the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks led by the United States and supported by various countries demonstrated global cooperation against terrorism. Actions such as formation of international counterterrorism alliance and intelligence sharing efforts reflect the idea of the global response to terrorism in the context of globalization. These examples illustrate how each of the 6 core claims of globalization can manifest in a real-world situation, emphasizing the diverse and complex nature of globalization and its impact on various aspects of society, politics, and economy.
And discuss the pros and cons in every claim in globalization. First claim, globalization is about the liberalization and global integration of market. First pros. In the first pros is free market capitalized. And the second is to remove the flow of a good service of capital. Globalized often condemn even moderated control of the market as harmful interference. And the cons is the globalized control of the language has resulted in enchanted their political power. And the second claim is globalization is inevitable and irreversible. And the pros is globalization is happening, is going to happen. It do not matter whether you like it or not, it's happening. It is going to happen in social elites in the global south often faithfully echo that determine the language of globe claims. For example, Manuel Villar, the Philippines Speaker of the House of Representatives, instead that we cannot simply wish away the process of globalization is a really of modern world. And the cons in claim 2 is there are three possible reasons in globalized import of adjacent concept that causes serious ideological contradiction. And globalization is irresistible protectiveness will only make things worse. And the third claim is claim 3. Nobody is in charge of globalization. The pros in nobody in charge of globalization is the third mode of deconstituting globalization hangs on the classical liberal concept of the self-regulating market. The cinematic link between globalization market and the adjacent idea of leatherness is simple. If the undistributed working of the market ended a certain course of history, then the globalization does not reflect our vetted agenda of a particular social class and group. And the cons in claim 3 is it's become obvious that the survival of globalization is conceived as the liberalization and global integration of markets depended on the journal of Margaret of B. Stringer that political leadership of the United States that indisputable nation building its power. And the claim 4 is globalization benefits everyone in the long run. And the pros is this distinction chain lies at the heart of globalized because it provides an affirmative answer to the crucial novative question whether the globalization represents a good phenomenon. The adjacent idea of benefits for everyone is usually unpacked in material terms such as economy growth and prosperity. However, when linked to globalism, peripheral concept progress, the idea of benefits in everyone taps not only into the liberalism progressive worldwide, but also draws on the power of the socialist vision of establishing an eco-paradise on the earth. And the cons is the basis hard evidence that yet the two most consecutive empirical assessment of change in global income distribution in the last decade has arrived as sharply complaining result. in the five claim in the five claim five globalization furthers that shape of the democracy in the world. First, the pros is a careful discourse analysis of relevant texts reveal that globalists then to the trade of freedom, free market, free trade and democracy and synonymous terms. And the cons is the promotion of polarity all allows globalists to advance their project of economy researching and in a language that support the democratization of in the world. And the last, claim 6, globalization requires a global war of terror. In pros, like the previous claim that this in the pros in claim 6 is like the previous claims, the final democracy this mission change as attends to globalized political responsibilities and conceptual flexible and combines the idea economic globalization with openly idea of associated with the American-led global war in terror. The cons is, on the other hand, if the global war on terror turns out to be lengthy and instead of engagement as suggested by the current American political leadership, then it would become equally more important over time. No wonder then that someone commentators who favor the second option how claim to detect a dangerous turn of globalism towards